What's going on, guys? Teddy Baldassarre from teddybaldassarre.com. If you're new to this channel, this is the channel where I dedicate to looking at watches in more detail on my website as an authorized dealer. So at any point throughout this video, check the link in the description. We'll have more details about this watch on the product page. But today we're looking at the Oris Big Crown Pointer Date Roberto Clemente edition. This is a really awesome limited edition release. So what we're gonna be doing is taking a closer look at this watch, and then in addition to that, at the end, kind of summarizing some things to consider if you are looking to purchase this. But guys, let's take a closer look at the watch. Now, first looking at a rundown of the specs, we have a case size of 40 millimeters, thickness of 11.8 millimeters, lug width of 20 millimeters, lug to lug of 48 millimeters, water resistance of 50 meters, movement is an automatic Sellita SW200, crystal is sapphire, price $1,950. This is a limited edition piece to 3,000 pieces, and if you use promo code Clemente, you can get a free strap with your purchase up to $50. Now, I find many watch enthusiasts and collectors are people that are multifaceted in their interests. I commonly see them being into other things like cars, cameras, and other consumer interests. And I'm certainly one of those people that definitely has other interests outside of watches. I'm into cameras, fragrances, and other things like that. Collecting and just that in general is something that's very true to who I am. But one of the other interests that was very much a part of growing up, and I always loved seeing a crossover between these two worlds, was just a love of sports. And whenever the world of watches and sports can collide, it's always a lot of fun for me. And this Oris limited edition is one of the best representations of nailing this crossover of both of these worlds tastefully, while also supporting a great cause in the process, with part of the profits of selling these pieces going to actually the Roberto Clemente Foundation. Now, Oris has always been a brand that has attached themselves to positive initiatives with their Clean Ocean limited editions as an example of that. So highlighting a baseball legend who was also one of the biggest humanitarians in the sport is a great fit. Now, Roberto Clemente was a Puerto Rican baseball player that became one of the greatest contact hitters and fielders the sport had ever seen. In his career wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates uniform, he amassed a lifetime batting average well over 300, 12 gold gloves to his name, was an NL MVP, 4-time batting champion, and a 2-time champion and a member of the prestigious 3,000 hit club. However, apart from his great efforts on the field, Clemente also excelled off the field, with him constantly visiting and being part of philanthropic causes in Latin America. And shortly after his 1972 season, a season where he eclipsed 3,000 hits, he was on his way to Nicaragua in order to aid relief efforts of their capital city that was victimized by a deadly earthquake. He had visited a few weeks prior, but learned that government corruption prevented the delivery of care packages, so he decided he wanted to actually head to the country himself and aid in the relief efforts. On this plane ride back to Nicaragua to assist those in need on December of 1972, the plane experienced engine failure and crashed shortly after takeoff, tragically killing Clemente in the process, dying at just the young age of 38 years old. Despite the tragedy, through his acts of kindness, he made a lasting impact on not only the game of baseball, but the world. Following his death, the Baseball Hall of Fame, a Hall of Fame that in my opinion is the hardest to be enshrined within, honored the fallen hero and baseball legend by holding a special induction ceremony to waive the eligibility period and immediately enshrining him within the Hall of Fame first ballot. In addition, there was a foundation started in his honor to continue Clemente's legacy of giving back to those less fortunate and assisting high-risk children and using baseball as an outlet for inclusion and opportunity. The watch that we're going to be looking at here today is actually a joint project between Oris and the Roberto Clemente Foundation, currently being run by Clemente's son. And a portion of the profits generated from the sale of these watches will be actually sent to the foundation. So it's a great cause, and I will actually link down below if you are interested in just kind of looking at the mission statement and understanding kind of more about Roberto Clemente and his legacy. This watch again is limited to 3,000 pieces, and Oris has blocked off the serial numbers from 1971 to 2020. Those were the years where the Roberto Clemente Award was actually issued, and each one of the players that actually won the award during those corresponding years would actually receive a watch with that corresponding limited edition number. And if the player is no longer alive, the watch will then be given to the family. So pretty cool as well. But apart from that, I think this is one of my favorite releases of 2020, maybe in my top 5 releases of 2020. I'm so very excited to be covering it. Now, the original Big Crown Pointer Date was first introduced back in 1938 and has emerged on the scene once again in recent years as one of Oris's most popular watches with a variety of case materials and sizes. This version here follows much of the same style with its design and elements, case size, and pointer date complication to uniquely display the date, but also pays tribute to the baseball legend and has an amazing colorway that has some cool tie-ins as well in the details. Now, first looking at this watch on the wrist, we have a case size, 40 millimeters, thickness of just under 12 millimeters, with a few millimeters coming from that dome sapphire crystal, and a lug-to-lug of 48 millimeters. With this model coming in at 40 millimeters here, I will say that it wears relatively true to that size in terms of the case, but given the thin coin edge bezel and the dome crystal, this dial is going to appear that it's a tad larger than that when having it strapped onto the wrist. It's not a large watch, but it is going to have some presence on the wrist, and I would probably recommend this for at least getting into the game in terms of making this work for you. At least 6 inches in wrist size, or around 15.25 centimeters. But again, this all really does come down to personal preference. The watch in the area of thickness works well with that dome sapphire crystal that tastefully distorts at certain angles, channeling a bit of the vintage charm of older crystals, and will help still being thin enough to slide underneath traditional cuffs. Between the lugs, we have a lug width of 20 millimeters, which is great and will allow this piece to really have a good sense of versatility. That said, the strap here is very fun. It's well executed leather strap that subtly resembles a baseball mitt with its contrasted stitching and suede finish. It's comfortable and certainly works well with the rest of the design, but given the 20 millimeters, definitely take advantage of different straps available. And if you do purchase this watch from my store, we can include a free strap up to $50 with your purchase for free. Just use promo code Clemente. The case here comes in a brush anterior side and then is polished along the side. At the 3 o'clock, we have a screw-down crown that offers extra security with that 50 meters of water resistance. The crown, given its larger size and relative to the case, makes it easy to engage, featuring hand winding at the first position when unscrewed. At the second position, you can adjust the pointer date, and at the farthest pulled-out point, you can adjust the time while stopping the second hand in the process. Now, for the dial here, we have really, I think, the star of the show, in my opinion. The colorway here is just so well done. It resembles the colors of Clemente's ball club, the Pittsburgh Pirates, slightly. It's a bit faded. It comes with a dark railway minute track with gold markings, triangular lube markers at each of the hours, and then golden numeral markings set within, a golden tip of the pointer date indicator, all set on a silver dial that turns white in certain lighting conditions. Looking towards the center, we have 4 hands, the hour and the minute hand following a cathedral hand style containing lume, a straight steel second hand, and then finally a long date hand stacked closest to the dial. Now, to engage this pointer date, it's essentially the same action that you would have when engaging with just adjusting the date with a typical date aperture. All you'll do is rotate the crown at that second position when it's unscrewed, and that will allow the actual pointer date to jump to the next indicated date on the dial. And this is a unique complication. You don't typically see it in watches of this price range as well as this style. It does, though, work with this cathedral style handset and really being a differentiator from the rest of the watches in the sub $2,000 price range. The lume on this piece is solid, with the hand shining the brightest out of all the lume markings on the dial and will help with viewing in the dark. But altogether, I absolutely just love the look of this dial and its design. It's definitely my favorite Big Crown pointer date to date. It's unique and pays tribute even in the details with the golden number 21 on the dial as a small nod to the legend. Flipping over the Big Crown pointer date, we have a mark back featuring Roberto Clemente with the limited edition number and the name of the watch above. Within the closed case back, though, we have the Oris 754, a slightly modified Sellita SW200 base. Now, that movement base, very solid alternative to the 2824, and from a brand perspective from Oris, now they're starting to get into in-house calibers and have just really used Sellita as of late. A lot of that has just become of just the unexpected production levels in games commonly associated with ETA in the past several years. It offers great serviceability and reliability. We're looking at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 hertz in terms of a beat rate, hacking and hand winding here, so hacking stopping the second hand when pulling out the crown to the farthest position, and a power reserve of 38 hours. And in terms of testing many of these Big Crown pointer dates, all of them are running in single digits from my tests. Now, just to share some final thoughts and things to perhaps consider. Now, first, 40 millimeters in case size, wears a little bit larger than that on the wrist. Water resistance for an everyday wear, 50 meters, might be enough, might not be enough depending on your wear. But in terms of why this watch, I absolutely just love it. I think it's perfect in terms of the design perspective. They did a fantastic job tying in the details of the colorway, the case back, the day 21 being in gold to pay tribute even further to the fallen legend. This watch, sorry to have to do it, knocked it out of the park in a lot of ways. You're getting a reliable and serviceable movement. It's a great everyday wear that's also a bit unique in terms of the cathedral style handset, as well as that pointer date function. And then you're also getting a limited edition, and then part of the profits are also going to a great cause. I think this is a winner all around. Again, probably in my top 5 favorite releases of 2020. It's got a tie into a sport that I love. So all there really is to say is bravo, Oris. Great job with this limited edition. All right, guys, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Also, if you want more details about this watch, link in the description. TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of all the brands that we carry, also coming with a factory warranty as well. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.